Good day, students at home. You are once again welcome to Agricultural Science on Here. In our last episode, we discussed on animal health management, that is principles of animal health management, where we treated the meaning and causes of animal diseases. And we went on to discuss about the factors, various factors that could predispose animals to diseases. And later, we talked about the economic importance of diseases. And apart from that, we discussed on several things, ranging from the different types of diseases that we have, that they are divided into pathogenic and nutritional diseases. But today, we are moving ahead to discuss on another topic which is very, very interesting. And this topic is land and its uses. Land and its uses. What do we mean by land? Land may be defined as the uppermost layer of the earth crust on which agricultural activities are carried out. Land may be defined as the uppermost layer of the earth crust on which agricultural activities are carried out. On the land, there are various activities which are agricultural or non-agricultural. That is, what you do on the land depends on what you want. In fact, actually, what I mean is that land can be used for agricultural activities and it may be used for non-agricultural activities. But what is very, very important to us as agriculturists, it has to do with agricultural activities that are being carried out on the land. And apart from that, you can also define land as the solid part of the earth surface, which has its components, the solid part of the earth surface with the components. You have the soil components there. That is, you have the water, you have soil water, you have soil air, you have soil, you have rock, you have minerals, you have natural vegetation and animals, which are suitable for agricultural production. What we mean by this is that it is the solid, because we have the solid, we have the earth being divided into, maybe it may be biosphere, it may be lithosphere, and so on and so forth. But we are talking about the land. We are talking about the land being the solid part of the earth surface with the components. And the components can be the air, the water, you have the mineral matter, you have organic matter, and so on and so forth. And you also have natural vegetation on the land. We have natural vegetation and you have animals or livestock that are being reared on the land. And so all these ones are suitable or are termed agricultural production. That means agricultural production takes place on the land and not elsewhere. And we are still going forward again to talk about land. We can say that means we are moving to the characteristics of land or the features of land. Now we have land as a factor of production. Land is a factor of production. If we are asked to mention the factors of production, we say land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. And so land is very, very important there. And another one is land is immobile. Land is immobile. It cannot be moved from one place to the other. It is, in fact, it is stationary. It can never be moved. The only thing that can be moved on a land is just the soil. The soil. You can shift a particular soil from your place. You can excavate a particular soil from a place to another place. But that particular land is immobile. And land is limited in supply. It cannot be increased, neither can it be decreased. So it is limited in supply, and it is a free gift of nature. It is a free gift of nature. It is a free gift of nature. It is not being given by anybody, but by our Lord. And another one is it appreciates in value over time. If you purchase a land now, and you don't make use of such a land, the land continues to appreciate in value over time. The land that you bought about 5 years ago for certain amount of money, if you are selling the land now, then definitely the cost of purchasing such a land would have appreciated. That is what we mean by appreciation in value. Now, we move ahead to land use policy. That means, land use demands careful planning in order to ensure increased agricultural production. Land use, before you can even make use of a particular land, there must be a careful planning in order to ensure agricultural production. And current demands on land centers, we can say the current demands on land, it centers on agriculture, forestry, wildlife conservation, industry, housing, recreation, transportation, etc. What we mean by this is that presently in the world, the current demands on land, it centers on agriculture, because the better part of the land is being used for agricultural activities. And another one is forestry. You can have forestry, you can have wildlife conservation in form of maybe having game reserves. Then you have the land being used for industries, you have housing, recreation, transportation, etc. Now, then, agriculture, forestry, and wildlife makes the greatest demand of land. That means maybe when we are making use of land, the one that attracts most patronage are agriculture, forestry, and wildlife, because they require large expanse of land for their operation. And so it makes the greatest demand of land. Now, there is the need to ensure a continuous land use policy which must not change as government changes. That means the land use policy must be constant. It must not have a change. Either there is a change of government or not. The land use policy must not change. Just like we have in some countries in Africa. For an example, we have in Tanzania, there was a kind of land use reform in that particular country. And even in Nigeria, as an example too, there was a time that there was a Land Use Decree Act in 1978. All these ones still stands firm. There is no change, even when the government had changed several times. That is what we are trying to say, that there is need to ensure a continuous land use policy which must not change as the government changes. Now, we will be able to explore those areas efficiently. And now we are moving to classification of land. That means we should be able to classify land based on its uses. And under these, two major classifications are identified. That means we have agricultural land. And we have non-agricultural land. But the one you are seeing on the screen is just agricultural land. That means under agricultural land, you have 1, land for crop production. 2, you have livestock production, you have land for fisheries, you have land for forestry, and lastly, we have land for wildlife conservation. And all this comes under for agricultural purpose. And the non-agricultural land, that is the land that is being used for non-agricultural activities. The following are non-agricultural uses of land that is, the land is used for the following activities. That means you have 1, you have land is used for industrial or factory use. Number 2, you have the land that is being used for construction of building. We have another land that is being used for mining. We have another land for sports center. E.g., you have the stadia, you have race course, you have golf course. All this comes under sports center. And then we have for land used for recreational purpose, e.g. park. That is park. We have parks everywhere. Then we have land that is used as maybe for worship places. That is the land where churches, where mosques, or where shrines are erected. That is non-agricultural land. And another one is the land that is being used for transportation. Used for transportation. That is for construction of railway lines. Railway lines, construction of airports, construction of roads all over. And another one is the land that is being used for cemeteries. For cemeteries. And we have land that is used for commercial purpose. For commercial purpose, e.g., you have the banks, you have warehouse, and so on and so forth. All those ones are for non-agricultural land. And we have spoken a lot about land. And we have defined land as a solid part of the earth's crust, which is used for agricultural purposes. And we also defined land as the uppermost layer of the earth crust, on which agricultural activities takes place. And we said it's the solid part of the earth crust on which you have the components as the soil, air, you have the soil, water, and so on and so forth. And we have natural vegetation, and you have livestock, the forestry. All these ones are on the land. And we also discussed on land as a factor of production. That is, we said it that when you talk about factors of production, you refer to land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur, of which land stands out very well and clearly. And we said land is immobile. Land is immobile, and it is limited in supply. Land is a free gift of nature. Land is a free gift of nature, and it appreciates value over the years. And we can even say that land is heterogeneous. But let's move ahead and talk about the land use policy also, because we referred to it, that land use, it requires maybe careful planning so that you'll be able to use that land properly for agricultural production. And it was said that the current demands of land centers on agriculture, forestry, wildlife conservation, industry, housing, recreation, and transportation. But out of all those ones that we have mentioned, agriculture, forestry, and wildlife makes the greatest demand. That means out of all that we have mentioned, we have agriculture, forestry, and wildlife because they require large expanse of land. And there is need. It was said that there is need to ensure a continuous land use policy, either the government changes or not. And later we went on to discuss about the classification of land based on uses. And under this, we have two major classifications. That means we have agricultural land and non-agricultural land. And under agricultural land, we discuss about the land that is used for crop production, that is used for livestock production, the land that is used for fisheries, land that is used for forestry, and finally, land used for wildlife conservation. And towards the tail end, we discuss about non-agricultural land. Non-agricultural land. And this land, in fact, we said it that the following are non-agricultural lands, not agricultural uses of land. That is the land that is used for industrial factory use, construction of building, and mining. Then another one, we have the sports center, e.g. we have the stadia, and we have the racecourse. And the land that is used for recreational purpose, e.g. park, the land that is used for worship places, e.g. churches, mosque, or shrine, and the land that may be used for transportation, that is for railway, construction of railway lines, construction of airports, and construction of roads. And we have the land that is used for cemeteries, that is where the dead are being buried. Where the land are being buried. And then we have the land that is used for commercial purpose. And now we have done the recap, and now let's assess ourselves to see how far we have gone and how far we know about this particular topic, land and its uses. And you are expected to do this assessment. Like number one, we have define land. Define land. What do you mean by land? We gave you two definitions, two clear definitions. And then what are the features of land? It is expected that the questions are to be answered and sent to the address that shall be displayed at the base of the screen. And if you need more questions, you can still make a request from our data bank using the same format as usual. And until next time when we shall come your way, I expect you have enjoyed today. I expect you have enjoyed the lecture today, and you will be able to use it for your examination. And have a blessed day. Thank you.